Today we have our another new episode, and we will discuss on smart cities and AI. We have our world famous speakers, Professor Rob Endeldy. Professor Rob Endeldy, my first question to you: what are the key components of a smart city, and how does AI enhance their functionality?
Well, a smart city is instrumented to be managed largely centrally and remotely. And what AI does is it takes that central management and automates much of it. The beginning of a smart city are capabilities like properly timed and adjusting traffic lights, so that the traffic lights are not only adjusting for the time of the day, but also for the level of traffic that's coming through to minimize that traffic and allow for traffic flow, thus reducing pollution, reducing energy waste, gasoline energy waste, and getting people to where they need to go more quickly, which increases overall productivity and enhances revenue generation for the city. But it extends to other things too: electrical delivery, water delivery, sewage management. The smarter the city, the more the city knows where their citizens are, where the citizens need resources, and can manage those resources, those limited resources, in a more effective way, making sure water is only going where it needs to go. Power is boosted where it's needed, and they've integrated things like solar and wind power into the overall electric grid, so that much of the power the city is consuming is sustainable power. It's not coming from petrochemical sources. So the smart city of tomorrow is, to a large extent, very different than the smart city of today, and that many more things are automated, and much of the energy is coming from more sustainable sources.
Thank you. My next question for you: how can AI be used to improve urban mobility in smart cities?
Well, I guess in this particular case, you're talking about movement between homes and work. So the way that you, and here we introduced the underlying concept of autonomous vehicles, and public transportation. In a smart city, you're using the mechanisms you have that are automated to move the population around from work to home and back again, and to any areas of entertainment that might exist. And so the smart city is whether it's built around automobiles or built around public transportation. In fact, future smart cities will probably have far more public transportation and far less automobiles, just simply because it's a more efficient way to move people. The smart city will manage the traffic flow in such a way that the traffic resources, the roads, rails, even airspace, if we're talking about autonomous flying vehicles, are optimized so that people get to their destinations as quickly as possible and with as little waste as possible, including waste of fuel as well as waste of time. So that's kind of how the AI is used. It's used to when we're talking about mobility, but it's used in a way to optimize that mobility and limit or eliminate a lot of the wait times that exist when things are not automated. In addition, the smart city is designed in a way so that the business aspects and the living aspects are also located in a fashion that makes transport easier. The idea of maybe perhaps a centralized hub where most of the manufacturing is done, surrounded by a close proximity living structure or living structures, would factor into the smart city, and the people are close either through public transportation or proximity. In fact, some of the newer attempts at smart cities are eliminating automobiles altogether, and with the idea of placing the workers in very close proximity so that they can use bicycles or some other petrochemical burning source to move the people around. So public transportation and bicycles becomes the way to do it, with the Scandinavian countries probably being the leaders in making this work, turning what used to be roadways into green zones, and relying much more heavily on human powered transportation than petrochemical transportation.
Thank you. My next question: for what role does AI play in ensuring sustainability of smart cities?
Well, AI mostly plays the role of eliminating waste. by making sure that the resources the city has, the limited resources the city has, are optimized against the people and businesses and homes that need them. So the AI in a smart city is almost entirely focused on optimizing resources. It can also do crime mitigation, fire mitigation, and a lot of other things. But the major focus is resource containment and preservation, making the smart city much more efficient. And it's that efficiency that pays for the cost of the technology that made the city smart. This is the return on investment that the city gets, is the fact that they don't need as many resources to do the same kinds of things they did before, and thus they've reduced their not only their thermal footprint, their ecological footprint, but they've reduced their costs, and so they've got more money to do other things.
Thank you. My next question for you: what are the challenges and risks associated with implementing AI in smart cities?
Well, cities weren't designed to be smart, except for the ones that are being built now. And so one of the problems when you're retrofitting a technology on something that wasn't designed for it is you're going to have a lot of problems, and that goes to the risks associated with smart cities. We have a lot of companies in the tech sector that don't understand AI. Politicians really don't understand it, and so this combination of you're using a tool in a place where that wasn't designed for it, and the people that are using the tool have really no intimate knowledge of how that tool is used, what its capabilities and shortcomings are, and really no ability to choose between the tools that are out there. And so you end up with what could be a real mess. It might very well be that a number of the cities may need to really make use of smart technology. They might need to be leveled and rebuilt, depending on how the infrastructure below ground has been maintained and handled over the years. You simply may not be able to make it smart without making major changes that might require leveling much of the city and then rebuilding it to create an environment that can be automated and run efficiently. But there's going to be a long period of time while we're waiting for users of artificial intelligence technology to become competent enough in it to be able to make adequate choices between the technology suppliers that are out there and prioritize where they want to use the technology. With pretty much everybody right now, AI is being shotgunned out to most everything, and there are a lot of places where AI just isn't ready yet. And the end result is the vast majority of AI deployments continue to fail. And what you need a combination of things. You need the right technology for the right job, and you need people that understand how to use how to best use that technology, and how to choose which vendor to use for which particular project. And we're not there yet. So the end result right now is while smart cities have a tremendous amount of promise, the mismatch between the skill set that you need to properly implement a smart city and the skills that exist is much too wide. And in addition, as I pointed out, many of the cities just simply weren't designed to be smart, and retrofitting an overlay is going to be problematic. So those are the difficulties. The promise is a much more efficiency and better use of resources. The downside is the people just don't know yet how to properly implement this technology, and that means, and it's expensive. It's very expensive, and if you implement it improperly, it becomes a black hole that you're pouring money into. And so it does really require, as a first step, bringing on board resources that understand how best to use the technology, and preferably not introducing vendors quite yet. You won't want to lock into a vendor until you're really sure the vendor is the right vendor for your deployment. If you lock in early, the vendor's going to try to make it work, but if it's a round peg in a square hole, it's probably not going to work very well.
Thank you, Professor. My next question: how can AI-driven smart city ensure inclusivity and address the digital divide?
Well, I'm glad that you said can instead of will. The can part is certainly doable. AIs by nature are not biased. They can deal with every customer regardless of race, religion, et cetera, sex, equally. That's not a problem inherent in the technology like it's inherent in people. The issue is, of course, people program AIs. and people manage the underlying resources. And so the way technology generally is deployed, it tends to go to the more affluent areas first and the less affluent areas second or third or fourth or fifth, depending. And the end result is there's a tremendous disparity in terms of how the technology is applied and who it's applied to. But that's not a problem with AI. That's a problem with people and how we invest in a city. And we generally invest far more in lucrative areas of the city, affluent areas of the city, than we invest in financially challenged areas. And the end result is we're going to have a disparity. But it's not an inherent problem with AI. It is a manufactured problem to the very nature of the race and how we approach problems like this.
Thank you, Professor. What's your closing remarks for today's sessions?
Well, smart cities, true smart cities, should be amazing to live in, and you can get a sense for it if you go to Norway or Finland, and see what they're doing to their cities. You can see the potential there to really create a utopian kind of environment where people are happy. Those countries tend to have some of the happiest and most contented people in the world. And to a large extent, it's because they're applying smart technology to their cities and really kind of getting rid of a lot of the hardscapes and returning a lot of the plant life to cities, making it a much more enjoyable place to live and work. Sadly, we don't do that here in the U.S. and don't really do that in many other parts of the world. But looking at how the Norwegian companies countries in particular are transforming themselves into much better places to live and work, and looking at the satisfaction and happiness scores that are coming out of those regions should inform us that they're on the right track and we are not, and perhaps we should be following them more than we currently are.
Thank you, Professor, for your continuous support for World Talent Economic Forum. See you in the next episode.